2020 Virtual Track B, discussing education and the new-collar workforce. Our presenter today is Dr. Clifford E. Thermer. Dr. Thermer is the Assistant Vice President of Strategy and Business Development for Goodwin University. Dr. Thermer is a 24-year veteran who has served both in municipal and state police forces in a wide variety of patrol and administrative functions. Retired from state service at the rank of lieutenant from the Office of Administrative Services, as well as the commandant of the State Police Academy and educational coordinator for the Department of Public Safety. His career includes 15 years developing training at the recruit, incumbent, supervisory, and management levels. Dr. Thermer has taught at all levels of higher education, holding adjunct positions at Middlesex Community College, University of Hartford, and Alberta's Magnus College. He held positions at Quinnipiac University as Associate Director of the Organizational Leadership Program and Visiting Assistant Professor of Management in the Lender School of Business. In August 2010, Dr. Thermer joined Goodwin University as Associate Professor, and he is now Assistant Vice President of Strategy and Business Development for Goodwin. Joining Dr. Thermer today are Mel Hoban, Director of Workforce Development at Goodwin University, Alice Stiles, Associate Director of Experimental STEM Education at CCAT, Todd Birch, Director of the Office of Apprenticeship Training at the DOL. We welcome all of you today. Thank you for coming.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you. I thank my colleagues for joining me today on this endeavor. And I think this is an exciting time to be in manufacturing with all the things that are going on in the world. Still being a maker, still being creative, still being able to create and make things, and it's a great opportunity, I think. And one of the things that we're seeing is that we have this amazing partnership that has come out of all of these development efforts. And I thought today that we'd start by just asking my colleagues to explain what they do. As in my role here, my job is to I'm as dean of the School of Business and Manufacturing Management and things like that. Our job is to partner people together to create learning experiences and to develop them, find the right people. And the right people some of those right people are here with me today. And so, Alice, I want to jump over to you first and ask you, you've got this pretty cool job of experiential STEM educator, coordinator at CCAT, and CCAT is involved in so many neat things with manufacturers and kids. So just tell us, what is your role and how does that fit into our workforce development?
Thanks so much for including me, Cliff. Yes, my role is to oversee our educational programs across a continuum of different learners. So that can start as early as pre-K, go right into partnerships with the schools and universities such as yourself, and supporting incumbent workers and those entering into the workforce. So I lead different initiatives that we'll talk further about, and I bring my background with over 10 years in manufacturing myself as a scientist, and infusing some of the skills that we know are needed by the workforce into inspiring kids across all different ages and all of us as lifelong learners to look into technology and keep learning more.
Thanks, Alice. I think, yeah, definitely when we talk about things like the Young Manufacturers Academy and how when they work with us and they're on that trailer and they get to see experiences for the first time and they can see what an idea in their own heads can actually come to reality. It's really exciting stuff to put together. My other distinguished colleague with me is Mel Hoban. Mel is our Director of Workforce Development here at Goodwin University, and she has a monster job. And I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about how she is working with us to develop workforce pipelines.
Might help when I take off the microphone. Thank you, Cliff, and thank you, everyone. It's great to be here. Nice to see you, Alice. My job is it's pretty great. I actually love my job. It's the Director of Workforce Development for Goodwin University, and we work with partners such as CCAT to help train our incumbent workers for our manufacturers. My job includes actually going and talking to the manufacturers and finding out their need, and actually taking tours of their facilities and learning about all the wonderful things that they're producing, be it for civil aviation, medical, defense, and I know COVID times is a little difficult right now, but it's such an interesting opportunity to actually visit these facilities and see what our manufacturers are doing around the state of Connecticut. And my job is to find and assess their need. And then we here at Goodwin University have wonderful instructors that can train their employees to be upskilled. One of my other jobs is also to work with getting the awareness out of manufacturing through our Manufacturing in Motion. We have a 44-foot trailer that we bring out to our middle schools and high schools, and we want to get kids such as my daughter, who's 13 years old, into STEM and all these wonderful opportunities in manufacturing. We were doing that pre-COVID. We still are doing that now virtually. We're not giving up on COVID's not taking that away from us. So we're really, we have momentum to keep it going and work with manufacturers and tell the kids how important manufacturing is. So we are really happy that everyone's here to listen to us today to kind of see the opportunities that manufacturing has to offer, and working with our partners such as Alice makes it a great opportunity for everybody all around in the state of Connecticut.
Thanks, Mel. And I'll tell you, we do have another partner who couldn't be with us today, and that's Mary Bidwell from the Connecticut State Colleges and Universities. And we certainly miss her as part of our roundtable that we do here all the time. But the work that she is doing with the community colleges and reaching out and training the next level workforce is just amazing. We've really never seen this kind of Team Connecticut come together, and all these organizations working together. So I did want to give her a shout out. Hopefully she'll be able to see this at some point. But she's an integral part of what we do. And our certainly, last but not least, a good friend to manufacturers and schools. Me personally, I got to tell you, is Todd Birch over at the Department of Labor. Todd, you have been a champion. You have helped us see your vision collectively, and all the work that you're doing, both to help manufacturers and students and schools and apprenticeships. So without telling everybody what you do, I'm going to let you tell us how you're fitting in with us and this workforce development pipeline.
Thank you, Cliff. I appreciate it. Sorry for the non-video. I'm having connection problems today. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, very well.
Great. Well, thank you for that accolade, but it's not an I, it's a we. And I'm really, really happy to be a partner with everybody on this call. And I find myself in a really interesting position at the crossroads of the industries, education, both secondary and higher education, post-secondary, and as well as government. There's never been an alignment between us partners to actually give opportunities to individuals to become new employees in manufacturing, but also for the employers that desperately seek highly skilled individuals to become their new employees. Basically stated as demand for high skilled workers increase, and career exploration can not only occur in any school. It's vital for employers and industry to engage in strengthening the connection between the education systems, the students, careers, communities, parents, and guardians. This collaboration will ensure students have exposure to the necessary career-ready skills for their chosen occupation and career field. Business and industry can offer job shadowing, mentoring, apprenticeships, work-based learnings. All these opportunities are very crucial to career development. And we're not just talking about off the street in entry-level workers. We're talking for incumbent workers that actually want to go up the career ladder to improve their skills to become a better worker and or learn a different skill within their organization. By accelerating necessary training and cultivating talent, employer-led program designs with academia built by screened, well-prepared workers new to training and classroom instruction for potentially acquiring and retaining new employees. Look, we're all proponents of STEM education. It has also been identified that STEM education is not academic. It has.
I think we lost some of your audio there, Todd. And I think the the work that the Department of Labor is doing in supporting all of these pieces is just so important to us. And I think one of our first conversational bullet points here is really that collaborative environment where you have private organizations, private manufacturers, educations of higher ed, government entities, as Todd was saying, all coming together to create these experiences and then pathways for both young people and adults who maybe are looking to change careers. We are currently engaged in a couple of items here at Goodwin University through some grants to retrain individuals who, through no fault of their own because of COVID, they found themselves displaced and are now retraining for work in manufacturing. And that's really an exciting piece. This notion of building a pipeline, you know, I know we have, we maybe have manufacturers on this line, we have makers on this line, we probably have students on this line. We have this whole Maker Summit just brings so many neat people together with great ideas that how do they fit in to this? And I think an unsung partner here, hero, is places like Makerspace Connecticut, right in downtown Hartford here, and the work that they're doing over there, providing opportunities for people to come in and explore tools, equipment, help them develop ideas, create new projects, be innovative. And they are a resource not only for us, but also for the schools and the school systems. And we're actually working on a project right now with MakerspaceCT to be able to bring some students in and experience the awesomeness that is this place at G Fox, the old G Fox in downtown Hartford. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, you got to go check it out. It is inspired. It's amazing. And these are the kind of partners that come together. And there's other maker spaces around Connecticut, and people are putting them together. But how all of us are figuring ways to work with students, work with adults, work with career changers, work with entrepreneurs to build this pipeline and work in with the community. So I wanted to throw this out to my colleagues who are still with us here, and hopefully Todd can get back with us. Our efforts in building these educational pipelines to employment, what's been the difference lately in the last couple of years? Alice, what have you seen?
Yeah, I think that collaboration is so key. We all have different equipment, we have different strengths, we have different technologies, and we all want to help the employers and be industry driven and meet their needs no matter what it is. So thinking of those maker spaces, one of my colleagues went earlier this year and worked with a group of robotics women who were at the maker space, getting to explore the technology, well, those women are going to be in educational programs. They're going to be working for companies. They're going to be starting their own businesses. They're going to be needing additional skills, knowledge, training. And it's all of us working together to not compete with each other and say, I offer this program, you offer that program. But instead it's that collaboration of talking with the manufacturers, talking with the companies, hearing from those entrepreneurs. What do they need? Is Mary providing that at one of the community colleges? Is Goodwin providing that? What does CCAT have as core competencies and skills and technologies? Where do I go next? All of us work together to inspire. We participated in kickoff events like the Manufacturing Day event that was held as not a community college. And again, raising awareness, thinking of the focus that we need to do on tapping into the talent that might be working in other fields right now. People are being displaced in retail. People are being displaced in hospitality, but technology jobs are here. The jobs of the future involve these technologies, and us working together to build that excitement, build that inspiration, showcasing individuals who look like people that have similar backgrounds to them, come from communities that aren't currently represented. This is so important because we're in it together.
Yeah, so true, Alice. I think that's why we've kind of developed that Team Connecticut philosophy that we are all in this together, and it really is unprecedented the way that we've all coming together for this common goal. I hope we can. I wanted to talk about a couple of little examples around, and I want to share with everyone something that we're doing, like with our high schools. Here at Goodwin University, we have the Connecticut River Academy, and it has its own manufacturing theme. And so students who are in high school like many of the technical high schools, they have the opportunity to explore manufacturing as a career. And right now, the way one of the pieces was designed is that our high school students are taking and earning up to 21 credits in manufacturing CNC machining. And the first group, now this is a 4-year process, so as the freshmen come in, it takes a little time. But at the end of this school year, the first group of students will be completing their 21 credit college certificate alongside of their high school requirements. And they will then have, there's 30 students in this program, and they will have the opportunity to join us right after the July 4th break to finish the last 5 courses towards the full 37 credit certificate in CNC machining technology and advanced manufacturing. And we are so excited about these young people deciding this as a career, as a starting point for their careers. And Todd would have been able to tell us about how the Department of Labor has looked at this and approved it towards pre-apprenticeship hours. And that's so incredibly important, because in this field today of manufacturing, there's one thing, there's a lot you can learn in a book, and there's a lot you can learn through videos, and there's a lot you can learn in an education environment. But the real training that brings it all together is when these individuals get into a manufacturer where the rubber meets the road, and they get to test all of their knowledge and skills in these apprenticeship tracks. And the beautiful thing about apprentices, they're getting paid, they're full-time employees. And what a great thing. Imagine that, graduating high school, and in a few short weeks after that, walking into an employer with a full college certificate and a career, and making good money to start in a very exciting career. That's just awesome for these young people to be able to experience that. And so that's CNC, which is computer numeric control. And we're looking at doing something similar in mechatronics, where the crossover between how electrical and mechanical come together, because almost every piece of equipment today has both, and somebody's got to know how to run it, somebody's got to know how to fix it. I think the fixers are so incredibly important, because hey, when my technology goes down, I can't fix it. I got to find somebody who knows this stuff. And so the mechatronics people are so needed right now across the manufacturing landscape in particular. So that would be that's just an exciting piece to do that. And I know Alice, you and your friends and your colleagues at CCAT and your contacts with the schools have a young manufacturers program. Can you share a little bit about what we're doing there and what you're doing there? And we play a little part in that.
Absolutely. CCAT has been working with the Young Manufacturers Academy for over 10 years, and it started as a summertime program working with partners like these colleges and universities. Goodwin has been hosting many of our events for many, many years, and has helped us with a wonderful partnership. About 4 years ago, we received some private funding to be able to roll out some of those initiatives that we were doing in the summertime into the schools in the greater Hartford area. So for 3 years, we were going into classrooms in grades 5 through 8 and including hands-on, minds-on, inquiry-based activities that were aligned with the skills needed by manufacturing and technology companies. So we developed a curriculum that worked closely with the schools and the strands and the content that they needed, and helped provide that real industry-focused information about the careers that are available, that it's not only one particular type of occupation. We do need a lot of CNC machinists. We definitely need folks in welding, but there's also design and art and entrepreneurialism and logistics and salespeople and so many different individuals in manufacturing that are needed. So we come into the classrooms, and then on our final days, either whether a capstone in the summertime or in the springtime, we bring in with Goodwin's help, the mobile manufacturing laboratory, and get the kids to see the technologies. We invite them to come in and tour companies if they can, or come up to CCAT. And so in this kind of year where we've been changing so much and the schools have been changing so much, more so than ever, those Young Manufacturers Academy initiatives, those outreach programs have been needing to turn into virtual experiences. So I'll include a link into the connections we've made with the employers to hold those videos. And if you can't get there in person right now or for a little bit of time, at least come see that cool equipment. Experience all the fun stuff that Mel was just talking about is made in Connecticut. It's fun seeing a scritter go, you make that here? That's in my backyard? People just aren't aware of all the many, many wonderful things that are made in Connecticut, and just the ideas that people have through the invention convention and all these entrepreneurs, the makers. They're thinking of things that are going on that are going to be the products of our future and help us. So I'll include some of those links to those virtual resources, those videos. And we know that Young Manufacturers Academy and the different initiatives that we have together to raise awareness are needed this year more than ever to keep inspiring the everyone across the workforce.
Yeah, for sure. I just find it so exciting to watch the kids' eyes light up when they see these things and they realize that, hey, they can do this. You know, I've often when I've talked with the kids at the different schools, you know, we often ask them, have you ever come up with a good idea to make something? It's like, yeah, I've got a great idea. And I said, well, what'd you do with it? And it's like, well, we don't know what to do with it. And these are the kinds of experiences that help them do something with it. And we can help them learn to take an idea that's in their head, put it down on paper, create it through a computer software piece, turn it into a 3D model, prototype it, and then something that didn't exist before that you simply thought of in your head and then you can hold in your hand. Wow, what a amazing thing to watch that transformation happen. And and even when I know Mel does a lot of the manufacturing in motion outreach, which we started to do with CCAT as well as on our own when we're out there. And those opportunities are just so neat for kids. But when I was doing those, I often talked to the kids and I said, how many of you cook? Yeah, what do you do? And I don't mean just peanut butter and jelly. I mean, it's funny because they boil water, they make spaghetti, they do, some people are really, at 10, 11 years old, they're quite accomplished. And they don't realize that they're doing chemistry and they're creating measures and all of the pieces that just come natural to them and just learning, hanging around their house and their kitchen is really manufacturing. And then we talk about, well, where does all that come? It's not just the food, but it's also where do the pots come from? Where does the stove come from? Where does all the pieces come from? And you realize that everything's made, not just your food, but everything that goes into making food. And then they start thinking, wow, so there really is something to all of this. It's not just carrots are in aisle produce in aisle 4 or something like that. And they start to see that big picture and the juices start going. So places, experiences like what you're providing at CCAT, what Makerspaces are providing for kids, these are just really exciting times to be around and involved with stuff like that. I know, Mel, you've had a chance you do a lot of our NEMS with Guy Labella, our Director of College Relations here at the university, and some of your connections with the kids. I think you still have connections with, a lot of these schools are still reaching back out. And
I mean, even during the time of the pandemic, I mean, it's important. I think the thing that's so significant that we're all saying is the awareness. We all want the awareness out there of how important and fun and exciting manufacturing can be. Yeah. And we are still doing our virtual MIMS. We're still working with schools. It's a little temperamental with, the situation with COVID right now, but everyone is still working together. We just recently did, I think actually Guy did a webinar with industry partner, Phoenix, and discuss the importance of apprenticeships and manufacturing and working at manufacturing companies and learning about the opportunities that one can have, and it starts in 5th grade. Actually, you can start in kindergarten. You can start with your Legos.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, when you have your Legos, that's building something.
Sure.
That's learning about the process of manufacturing, so to speak. My son came here actually. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you were here, Cliff, but he's 9, and he like it impressed me. I didn't even knew that he knew the stuff he knew.
Oh yeah.
When we went on a tour of our own facility here at Goodwin. We have an amazing facility here at Goodwin University too. And he was just so impressed, and the questions that came out of his mouth, I was like, wow. So I think it's really truly about the awareness that we just keep out there with our industry partners, with the school systems, the higher education institutions, and we just all work together. It's just really a collaborative effort.
Yeah, it really is. There was a software. I think it's still pretty popular out there. With students, they're using things like 3D modeling software. There's a bunch of them out there. I'm happy to see that that's being used. Things like oh boy, I hate getting old. I'm sorry.
The 3D pens that we use on our mobile lab.
They're using 3D pens. They're creating right from scratch. And then SolidWorks is the software that I was thinking of that the students are starting to learn, and they're learning that in high school, and it makes it easier for them to transition into things like Mastercam and to be able to program more advanced manufacturing machines. So I don't think I wish the kids and the students that might be listening, or the parents that might be listening to this, encourage your kids to realize that some of these things that they're learning in school right now really can lead to exciting careers down the road, especially in the areas of manufacturing and being makers. I mean, it's just so critical. And then when they come over from the high school, or they come from the regional high schools, we have a program called the Early College Advanced Manufacturing Program, and we're working with students from Hartford and Coventry and Bolton, and we actually have a student from Avon too, who comes all the way down from Avon to learn welding. And when they're able to see all these pieces come together, it's pretty neat, and they're all earning the college credits at the same time. The other area, because boy, time goes by when you start talking about stuff you love to do. It really just zips by. And I did want to talk a little bit about our work with incumbent workers in particular. I mentioned before with the apprenticeships, once when you get out of school, whether it's in a high school program or college program, or whatever it happens to be, and then you get hired by an employer, and you are now in manufacturing of some kind. That makes you an incumbent worker. You're actually working for a company. And if you're in an apprenticeship program, even better. But we have a large effort across the state, really across the nation, but in particular across Connecticut, to develop the incumbent workforce. And those are those folks who are in fields related to manufacturing, and helping them to develop more advanced skills so that we can stay competitive. We have over 4,000 manufacturers in Connecticut. That's amazing to me. I mean, it's like, where are they? But they're everywhere. And there's a lot of small operations out there who are doing amazing things, and they're all part of this great big supply chain that build jet engines and submarines and airplanes and all kinds of things, medical devices and equipment, and even the food industry. There's so many manufacturers out there, and all of these.
And offshore wind coming our way. The industries of tomorrow, right here in Connecticut.
It's exciting. Imagine that we're down in Bridgeport, where they're looking at this offshore wind and how to do all of this green energy. I mean, it's exciting time. So maybe we can describe some of the efforts that we're doing with incumbent worker training and why that's so important to us. I'll let you jump in, Alice. Thanks.
Oh, sure. So at CCAT, we really focus on advanced technologies and working with the schools and helping the companies adopt new technologies and expand the technologies that are going through the whole supply chain. So a lot of our focus areas are on additive manufacturing. We have multiple types of additive manufacturing. So Mel talked earlier about the 3D pens that we're exposing kids to, the tabletop, desktop 3D printers. And then when you start to see all the different ways that you can hybridize those, and you can both add and subtract and use all these different kinds of materials, whether it's metals or ceramics, different ways of layering the technology. We have such a dedicated team at CCAT of engineers to help bring awareness to those companies and then those workers as they pivot to investing in new equipment. And I think a thing I really wanted to emphasize for the individuals that are listening in is how many resources are available to you, whether it's a student or a parent, the ways that you could look at some of the resources available, the companies, the current workers. I want to learn more about what is Melanie talking about this particular kind of technology. How can I learn more? We all are working so hard to be able to access private, state, federal resources, and really our message is to take advantage of those. Look at all of our websites. You might be able to see what you have available to you, no matter what your level is. If you're working with kindergarten or kids at home and you're talking about the Legos, or you want to look at some of these cool technologies, what's appropriate for you? We all have different ways that we can help with that. If you're trying to figure out what is a fluid bed, connect with us. We can help you. You're investing in it. You can access voucher programs through the state if you're a small manufacturer. You can participate in a pre-apprenticeship program if you're in high school, working with Todd and so many different educational partners. If you're in college, of course, apprenticeship programs, paid to work, take these different kinds of trainings. Really, there's a lot of different ways that we all want to be successful, and we know it's part of our economic need within our economy to be able to strengthen all of that. So wanted to mention some of those programs.
Oh, absolutely. And one of our missions in particular, and I know if Mary was here, she would be explaining.
Team Committee.
Yeah, well, Team Committee, but even before that, it's what we're trying to do with students who are coming into college programs and even the high school programs as we bring them through is to introduce them to manufacturers even before they finish the program. And in the past, at the academic level, it's like, oh, why don't you finish your program first before you go work? But we're trying to marry those two together so that students can start working in manufacturing while they're in school. Because boy, much better to have a part-time job in the field that you want to be in, and start to learn that level. So the sooner we can make those connections for our students, both at the high school and college level, especially if they're in an apprenticeship type of program, the better it is for them and their future tracks into manufacturers. And then, as Mel said, our committee. Our committee funding, our grant from the U.S. Department of Labor that we're using towards incumbent workers. Mel, you want to talk a little bit just about those kinds of resources that we have?
I just think I have to get committee out there, Cliff, a lot. I just put that anywhere. Hi, committee. Yeah. So we had an opportunity.
And what does committee stand for, though?
Committee stands for Connecticut Manufacturing Workforce Development Initiative, and that is actually with CCAT. And with Mary Bidwell, who we wanted to be on this call too, from the Connecticut State College System, and we were all collaborating together to help manufacturers upskill their incumbent workers. It was last year around February, we found out that out of the country we got this award for training 1,600 participants in 4 years. And so it was a great accomplishment considering there's literally 28 higher education institutions, and we're one of them. And so we are collaborating together as committee, and we want everybody to remember that committee, to upskill incumbent workers and help the manufacturers when they know that they need to take their incumbent workers and bring them to another level, to a promotion, to promotion or whatnot. And we have the resources through CCAT, through Goodwin, and through the Connecticut State College system that we can help you with funding for that. So you certainly can reach out to me or Alice or Mary Bidwell and get more information on that. But it's a pretty exciting program, and we're here to help you train your employees in order to get them into more upskilled positions.
Yeah. And a lot of that training, Mel, it's not only done in person, but we're also we have access to online materials. We're using 180 Skills a lot right now. I know that companies can access 180 Skills through the state, through CCAT, through our programs that we're doing. And that training is delivered virtually, and we support that training with labs and faculty that they can answer questions. One of the challenges of being online is that, boy, if I get stuck in this program, then what do I do and who do I call? And what do I do next? And sometimes whether you're a high school student or an incumbent worker and you need just that little, that's what that meant. We have our faculty and our lab techs available that are assigned to these programs that if you're in with our training, they're there for you. They're there to answer questions so that you get through that piece. And that is also being supported by our COMWITI grant through the U.S. Department of Labor, closing the skills gap. And so all of these pieces come together to really boy, there's so many resources out there. And it's getting the word out to everybody at all of these different levels. So if you're a high school student, or even not, if you're a grade school student and you want to become a maker, you want to learn how to make stuff. It could be manufacturing. It could be a whole host of areas. It could be the medical field. It could be in the food industry. You name it. It's out there. And almost every job you can possibly think of is in manufacturing. I like to tell my colleagues in health that it's all business, and education, it's all business, because all of those skills are needed in manufacturing as well. So even if you're not a technician, there's also opportunities for you in manufacturing. I mean, we need accountants, we need bookkeepers, we need managers, we need leaders, we need HR specialists, we need all kinds of folks to support the manufacturing organization. So for those of you who may not specifically be want to be a maker, or those of you that aren't interested in or want to do engineering per se, there's still lots of room in the manufacturing fields to explore. So we encourage folks to do that.
And Cliff, can I jump in? Because you mentioned the online trainings, and I think it's helpful to emphasize that for the companies that are listening in. You mentioned some tools like 180 Skills, that right now there are free licenses available to Connecticut manufacturers to have their employees use and to build their training. And that might be technical trainings, blueprint reading, things like that. But it might also be some of those interpersonal skills. Whether it's communication or problem solving. We're seeing quite a few manufacturers have their workers in their offices participate in some Excel trainings or teamwork. Yeah. So of the 700 classes that are available through 180 Skills, I really want to underscore what you just said about the different types of employees and the job descriptions. Similarly, when matched up with the skills, you offer a large variety of different programs, so many of which are technical, but also that are helping for the support task, support staff through continuing education. And of course, at the community colleges and state universities, they are as well. So just want to make sure that folks that are listening are familiar with some of those. We also use another online tool called Tooling U, SME, an engineering tool as part of our pre-apprenticeship programs. And I know if Todd was on, many others are using it as well. well. And those provide those credentials, whether it's credit-bearing credentials at a college or a university, or the stackable or a specific industry-recognized credential. Our pre-apprentices are awarded certificates of completion through the Connecticut Department of Labor. And I know there's a lot of other examples of different initiatives as well. So hopefully people are hearing that the message is there is a lot out there. And if you think it's just this, oh no, it's all of these. So sometimes the challenge is figuring out what's out there and where. And Melanie and any of us are great resources to help point each other in the right direction, because if we don't offer it at CCAT, we're pointing to Goodwin, Goodwin's pointing to others. I think that's the message we're hoping to convey today.
Yeah, and great point, and thank you for mentioning that. And recently, Mel and I joined you on one of the CCAT webinars, and one of the things that came out of it and that we talked about was also not just the committee, but the grant and the training, but the needs of manufacturers, because really this pandemic that we're living through has put new challenges on the management of manufacturers, like all companies for that matter, and new leadership skills, and became evident that boy, our managers need to know much more than just how to make this part and get things through the process. And so we've been supporting that too, and that training again is part of our support of manufacturers across Connecticut in particular, as well as other organizations. So thank you for mentioning that. And the last piece I think that we're coming into here really is this incredible importance of the partnership with the manufacturers. Mm-hmm. I like to say in the old days, which wasn't that long ago, it really was the schools. We would train people and then we would send them out into the world, and hopefully they got a job. And there was a lot of success with that, or the different training schools that were out there. But one of the things that we have realized as educational institutions is that we need to help train people for the manufacturers. So we don't build or create anything without talking to our partners in manufacturing. What do you need? What are the skill sets, so that we can get you the best entry-level person that we possibly can on day one? As soon as one of us can come up with how do we get a 20-year experienced veteran out there, we're gonna do that. That'll be the ultimate. But we're not there. We've got to get people at a really good, highly skilled entry-level position, and the only way we can do that is with the input of manufacturers. And so all of us are working very, very closely with manufacturers, not only in our immediate area but across the state, in order to make a better product for the manufacturers. So we have students that we have to train, and they're going to go out and work for these manufacturers, and all of those pieces have to come together. A real life example that we're dealing with right now is we put together the mechatronics and automation program here. And again, mechatronics is that connection between electrical and mechanical and how those pieces work together. And there are a good 30 or 35 companies that are involved with the German American Chamber of Commerce, and our good colleague Tom DeZimian, who works with the German American Chamber, has kind of brought all of us together to help create this new track in mechatronics and automation. And when we're talking about automation, we're talking about that notion of robotics as well. So it's not just fixing and keeping machines running, but it's also looking at robotics and programming. None of that would have happened if we weren't able to work with a private organization like the German American Chamber, our partners at CCAT, our partners in the manufacturing industry who have this need, and they came together and actually helped us build this program. And then we found the right person to lead the program, and that's one of our faculty, Dave Turner. And it's a pretty exciting time. And the idea then is to take these students and then match them up with manufacturers. This is going on all over. These kinds of efforts are going on with the schools and the community colleges, as well as universities like Goodwin that are involved with this. I can't tell you how important it is to have these manufacturers involved, supporting what we're doing, giving us their feedback. without them, we're really not in business, and we're in the business to get them the best worker we could. And I know, Alice and Mel, you've seen this in talking to manufacturers out there, and for those manufacturers who are still out there. I mean, there's 4,000 manufacturers out there, and they're involved with their own associations, and associations have connections with schools. But boy, if you want a connection with a school, whether you're working with high schools or whether you're working with universities and colleges or training places that provide training like a CCAT, so important to have that connection. And I mean, there's just so many examples of individual businesses that are connecting with high schools and colleges right now, that if you're not involved with a higher institution of higher education, please reach out to any of us. Reach out to CCAT, reach out to Mel here at Workforce Development at Goodwin, reach out to Mary Bidwell at the State College System. We're not keeping you to ourselves. We're part of finding the best place for you. Connect with these institutions of higher ed to help you and be involved with what we're doing. We've got great partners out there in these associations, and the more active they are, the better the association is, and the better product we can produce for you. So.
And jumping in there, and I know we're almost out of time, but you asked in the beginning what's different, and what we've seen different in the manufacturers is coming together all the associations under the CMC umbrella of a consortium. And that's been really helpful to align on the messaging, help roll out best practices across the state. And at CCAT, you mentioned the webinars that we hold weekly by Connecticut manufacturers for Connecticut manufacturers, in partnership with AMAP, which is the Advanced Manufacturing Employer Partnership, bringing in some wonderful partners like aerospace components manufacturers, smaller manufacturers association, down in the New Haven area, the Manufacturer of Connecticut. So many different organizations. I think there's 7 or 9 core partners under that umbrella. Again, connecting the dots, helping along the continuum, finding out what employer needs, and all of us working together as educational and technology partners to make that happen.
Yeah. And I can see we're getting and Susan's in here now. Hi, Susan.
Hello.
And then we didn't even talk about the workforce development boards who are part of this partnership, but we don't have time.
Of course.
Maybe we'll do it again.
But we do have some time for questions.
Okay.
And I have a question. The pandemic has really impacted every organization's operations. And how do you see your particular programs ascending to the next step and continuing on with these incredible resources? Do you find that it has been a deep impact, or is it something that you think will pass and you won't skip a beat? You'll be right in there, ready to go again. And any one of you can answer.
Oh, it's been a big impact. Yeah. And what we've had to do, though, is we've had to become very creative in providing the training. Before, as Mel was describing, the virtual events for manufacturing and motion, we used to do all those in person, but we bring those via webinars right now, and they're live. I mean, kids can actually see what we're doing in the labs. A lot of our training, I think the key word here for educators is ultra flexible. And if anybody remembers Gumby, we are all Gumby right now. We have to bend and do whatever we have to do in order to accommodate our students. So that has been a big challenge, but one that I think most of the schools and institutions, if not all, have found ways to rise to the occasion to do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, creative collaborations and creative funding. I think that's the bottom line and the reality for all of us in terms of making sure we can continue to offer programs of the highest quality in ways that are most appropriate for the individuals that are participating. And this committee grant is a great example of us positioning ourselves as a state of Connecticut and Goodwin University leading to help us access funds that might not have been available in past years. But through these collaborations, hopefully we'll continue to be able to access funds because we know the need is there and we have great demand and talent in Connecticut, and we want to be able to continue our great programs.
I think, Jerry, will higher education institutions be supporting and accepting education training credits gained through programs such as the New Collar digital badges?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jerry. And I got to tell you, the simple answer is it's going to depend, and this is why. It's going to depend on the quality of the learning that's going on. There's a movement even here at the university where it's not just time in the chair and how much time and how much homework you do, but it's the competencies that you've attained. And a lot of the continuing education kind of programs that we're developing are really competency based. So when we look at that and we say, is this equivalent? Is this learning through a continuing ed or a higher ed type piece? Is this equivalent, or I should say, is it equivalent to a higher ed with the not just the number of hours, but with the competencies achieved? Then we would say, yes. Why would we want to put you into a class if you already know that? Let's get you to the next level. It's kind of very similar to what we do with high school students, like at the state technical high schools. Some of these kids are great CNC machinists coming out as seniors, but they may not have that next level. I don't want to put them back in a class that they already know how to do. So when I say it depends, we would look at what those badges entailed, and then we would say, yes, is there an equivalency here? Certainly, if there's an equivalency, we would certainly look at giving them experiential credit towards that, towards what a degree is. Now, I can't speak for my colleagues across the board, but that's what we're doing at Goodwin University in particular, because it's the right thing to do. And our job is to help students get to where they need to be as quickly and competently as we can.
Right.
May I just chime in a little bit related to this subject? As I was reading through the World Economic Forum report that just released their Future of Jobs 2020 report, and looking at the types of findings they had about the rapid technology implementation. So two quick pieces that I thought were really relevant to this conversation, this particular question, were, of course, identifying the continued skills gap, really emphasized by the pandemic. If anything, the report is finding that 40% of workers require reskilling with programs that are 6 months or less. So of course we need longer term, we need PhDs, we need folks with masters, 4-year, 2-year, 1-year, of course we need badges, but we also need to rapidly reskill. And that's a lot of what our collective work are together to figure out how to make that be high quality demonstration of the skills. And the second point is that 94% of business leaders surveyed expect employees to pick up new skills. Yeah. This is up from 65% in 2018. So you're seeing that impact of the pandemic and the rapid technology adoption shift of now it's the expectation. I didn't know how to use Zoom and this and that and all of that. Suddenly you're learning, you know what I mean? And you're getting thrown into a crash course and taking some of these shorter term trainings in addition to more formal credentialing and credit bearing and non-credit options available with the schools and partners.
Yeah, great point, Alice. I mean, the technology in manufacturing changes so quickly that sometimes we have to do what we need to do to get them to that skill set, which is the primary importance here. And then a lot of what we do with our students is give them the technical skills, get them a job, and then if you want to come back and finish your associate's degree or bachelor's degree to work up, that's great. We're always here for you. And I know all of the colleges in Connecticut have the same. We're always here for you. So
what about the women who are re-entering the workforce? And they don't want to go back to school per se, but they really would like to learn a skill, something that's really attractive now in additive manufacturing, and learn to do 3D printing or for starting their own small cottage business. What's the best way for them to target all these incredible resources that we all have here in Connecticut? What's the fastest way? Sometimes they're overwhelmed and they don't know where to start. Where would be the best place for someone like that to start?
Ooh, pick me.
Go ahead, Cliff.
I got to tell you, especially if they're not sure what their areas of interest are, check out a place like Makerspace Connecticut. Check out a place like that where they have all of these things. They'll teach you how to work some of the basic machines and tools, whether it's IT or computer programming or textiles or machining or welding or blacksmithing. I mean, they got all kinds of cool things there. And then when you find what your passion is and what you like, and you come with an idea, then they can connect you with other people that can help you find that training. So sometimes it might be in an adult ed program. Sometimes it might be at a continuing ed program. It might be in a certificate program at a college. I mean, we're teaching machinists the equivalent of 37 college credits in 22 and a half weeks. That only shocks people that are in higher ed, that goes, oh my gosh, that's really fast. But yeah, but they're immersed and they love what they're doing and they learn it and they retain it. So I get excited about this. And I think anybody who's interested, there are resources. Call us, start with a place like MakerspaceCT, and start to see what's out there. And go to school with your kids, and if you can, and go visit places like the Science Center, and visit Goodwin, and visit community colleges especially as we start to open up again, and more of that's going on. And I firmly believe that this too will pass, and those opportunities will be there for all of these folks again.
Really just wanted to share, you mentioned touring. We love opening our doors. CCAT is your advanced technology center. And so right now we can't physically open our doors, but we continue to hold virtual tours. So we have one coming up on December 9th. And we really tried to put a focus on getting educators to familiarize themselves with advanced technologies. Think about all these Industry 4.0, these emerging technologies, these cloud-based connections, these sensoring everything to inform design and data and implementation. So on our website, certainly keep an eye out for that. And companies, we've had several, we've had a jeweler that's coming to mind who said, I want to take my business to the next level and think of how I could use 3D printing technology. Take some of our workshops, attend adult ed programs. So it's really exciting to physically come and see our centers.
The best way.
Susan, if I may say something, actually. We also are, as Cliff had mentioned, we are having virtual events for any manufacturers on this call today. And the next one will be December 1st, and we'll be discussing actually how we can get you more resources for funding. And we actually have many courses through the 180 skills that we talked about through CWITI, Connecticut Workforce Development Initiative. But I would like to let everybody know that that's not stopping us. We used to have events ourselves in person, but now we're still continuing. So we are still moving forward in order to help manufacturers and their needs right now.
Sure. And Susan, lastly, regardless of where they are in their careers, you're never too old to learn a new skill or a trade. Please don't think that you're too old, because something that's nonsense. If you have a passion for it, there's somebody who else has a passion for it that wants to share it with you. And and we have students everywhere in our college program, for example, everywhere from 18 to 62 years old. Mm-hmm. And it just works because they're all interested in that new thing. So, and we have people that want to share that. So share that with the world.
Well, actually, if I can, I have a great story. We collaborate with AARP, actually. And we had one of our students was in the banking industry, and she happened to unfortunately lose her job. And just saw in the bank, and in her mail one day, her husband said, "Look at this, Goodwin Manufacturing. Who knows? Who knew?" Do you know now that she is a CNC operator, and we also teach quality? She's working on a manufacturing company today. So there's not a bad time to ever get into manufacturing. You can re-career, you can start at any age. That's how we feel here. So it's another important factor to understand. And she's doing amazing. She really is. And who thought she was in banking?
That's true. That's true. Let's see. We've got, I guess we've got about 1 minute, I think they're saying. Yeah. And one other thing, in your classes or in your offerings, do you ever have anything specifically for the older adults who want to learn a skill like that? I mean, just specifically for them. I know that at Makerspace, they've had a welding class that was completely filled with women who are going forward.
Women make wonderful welders. It's a generalization, but the attention to detail, precision work, amazing. We partner with VR Sim with simulation equipment and encourage different individuals at different ages to try welding. So many of us as women haven't welded. And when you get some welding equipment in our hand, it's amazing to see what women welders have been able to do.
It really is. And it's fascinating that when you were speaking of age, the age is just a number. And now people are just coming because they're interested and they really want to learn. So I think that's great. Well, I think we're out of time. Thank you, Cliff and Alice and Melanie. And I'm so sorry that we had some technical difficulties, but thank you so much for this conversation. And we appreciate it so much. And I think now we're going to go back to Deborah, and we'll be seeing all of you. And thank you again.
Thanks.
Support for the New England Maker Summit provided by our innovation partner, Stanley Black & Decker. Additional sponsors include the Rutledge Family Foundation, Mastercam, MPH Engineering LLC, CBIA, ReadyCT, and Constep. Thank you for your support.